In this episode, you'll discover 3 very real stories of people who healed or stabilized from illnesses considered terminal, and learn what their recoveries reveal about your own biological capacity for possibility. You've been told it's incurable, but here at Renegade Remission, we believe in rewriting the story. If you're facing a terminal or chronic illness, you are not alone. I'm Eleni Welch, certified nutritionist, and each week I share healing strategies and remission stories to help you take control of your health, feel better, and rediscover hope. Welcome back to Renegade Remission. There is something deeply human about hearing someone else's survival story when your own world feels uncertain. In this episode, I'll share 3 powerful remission stories, and if you stay until the end, I'll share simple, practical ways to support the same biological pathways involved in these unexpected outcomes. These stories don't promise easy answers, and they don't dismiss the complexity of illness. What they do is remind us that the body is not a fixed, predictable machine. It's adaptive, dynamic, always listening, always changing, and always trying to repair, sometimes in ways that medicine still can't fully explain. So I want to introduce you to 3 individuals whose recoveries challenge the usual storylines around prognosis. Each one comes from a different source, one from a memoir-style Radical Remission account, one from a peer-reviewed case report, and one from a published neurological recovery. Each offers something meaningful for your own healing journey, regardless of what your diagnosis is. Let's begin with the memoir. This is Catherine's story as she recovered from stage 4 lung cancer. It was published in Kelly A. Turner's Radical Remission Survival interview. Catherine was diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. Her oncologist gave her months to live and recommended she begin preparing for the end of her life. But Catherine made a very different decision than anyone expected. She didn't chase experimental protocols or aggressive interventions. Instead, she made her healing environment her priority. She shifted to nutrient-dense foods because they made her feel lighter. She meditated each morning, sometimes only for a few minutes. She cried and faced deep, long-held grief she had avoided for decades. She reconnected with her community, allowing people to show up for her in ways she used to resist. And she practiced visualization, imagining her lungs clearing bit by bit. When she returned for imaging months later, her oncologist was stunned. Her tumors were shrinking. Over time, her cancer regressed to the point where she returned to full-time living, walking, laughing, and participating in the world again. She went on to live many years past her prognosis. Again, Catherine's story is a personal account, not a published medical case study, but it's not any less important or believable. It reveals emotional, relational, and behavioral shifts that appear again and again in survivor testimonies. And remember that sometimes these survivor testimonies are all we have because clinicians don't publish them in peer-reviewed journals, but that doesn't make them any less reliable. The second story is a peer-reviewed, medically documented remission. It's from a 2022 case report called Spontaneous Regression of Colorectal Cancer, published in the Annals of Medicine and Surgery. This case involves a 67-year-old man diagnosed with metastatic colorectal cancer that had spread to his lungs, an illness that typically carries a poor prognosis. The plan was chemotherapy, but before treatment began, follow-up imaging showed something extraordinary. The metastases were shrinking on their own. The doctors were so puzzled that they ordered a repeat of the scans a few weeks later, and then repeated them again and again. Each time, the tumors continued to regress without any oncologic treatment. Biopsy samples confirmed something remarkable. His immune system had begun infiltrating the tumor tissue. In other words, something had shifted biologically that allowed his immune cells to finally recognize and attack the cancer. Spontaneous regression of metastatic colorectal cancer is rare, which is why this case was published, but it also demonstrates a principle seen across multiple conditions, that the body is capable of sudden and unexpected immune recognition, even after a diagnosis that feels overwhelmingly bleak. This is evidence that the immune system is not fixed, it can recalibrate. The third story I want to share is one of neurological recovery, and this is Dr. Terry Wall's reversal of secondary progressive MS. It's published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, and it's titled Multimodal Intervention for Secondary Progressive Multiple Sclerosis, a case series. Secondary progressive MS is considered one of the hardest neurological conditions to reverse. It is often marked by ongoing decline, mounting disability, and very limited treatment efficacy. Dr. Walls was in a tilt-recline wheelchair and experiencing worsening mobility, fatigue, and neurological symptoms despite receiving the best conventional medical care. Refusing to accept her decline as inevitable, she created an intensive multimodal program focused on mitochondrial support, nutrient density in food, structured movement, neuromuscular electrical stimulation, and targeted supplementation. Her recovery was slow but steady. First, her fatigue began to lift. Then her trunk strength returned. Then she stood. Then she took steps. Within a year, she famously completed an 18-mile bike ride. Her case series documented measurable improvements in fatigue, mobility, and physical function, showing that even in neurodegenerative disease, the nervous system retains unexpected capacity for adaptation and repair. This is a real, observable, and medically published story, and Dr. Walls has helped many to achieve similar results since then. These three individuals had very different conditions: lung cancer, metastatic colorectal cancer, and progressive MS. Their recoveries involved different interventions, different timelines, and different forms of support, but the themes that appear again and again across these stories are remarkably consistent. The first is that the body is not fixed, it is adaptive, that immune systems can reawaken, nervous systems can rewire, and mitochondria can restore. The second theme is that emotional and psychological states influence physiology. Across memoir-style stories, survivors describe moments of surrender, clarity, forgiveness, or connection that coincided with major biological changes. Doctors may not write these stories down or publish them in peer-reviewed articles because they may not see them as being significant, but just because a medical doctor or researcher doesn't see the significance doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The third theme is that lifestyle and environment matter. People who experience unexpected improvement often describe creating a healing terrain rather than focusing solely on eliminating disease. The fourth thing is so important, and it's that recovery pathways differ, but healing biology may overlap. Neuroplasticity, immune activation, reduced inflammation, mitochondrial resilience, microbiome shifts, these mechanisms cut across diagnoses and may explain why people can take different pathways to healing but still achieve the same results. And the fifth theme is that prognosis cannot measure the unknown. Even in published case reports, doctors admit they cannot explain why some people turn towards healing when others do not. These stories are not promises, but they are evidence that possibility exists even where probability seems small. Here are some simple ways to support some of the same biological pathways involved in these recoveries. The first is to support your immune system through daily regulation. Prioritize sleep, hydration, whole foods, and gentle movement. Small, daily decisions can shift immune physiology over time. The second is to choose one nervous system calming ritual you can do today. Whether it's slow breathing, grounding, humming, prayer, a walk outside, anything that helps your body soften its stress response. The third is to add one nutrient-dense food to your plate. Whether it's leafy greens, berries, cruciferous vegetables, herbs, spices, or clean proteins. All of these help mitochondria and immune cells function more effectively. The fourth is to tend to one emotional weight you've been carrying. Whether you write a letter you'll never send, take a long walk with a friend, talk with somebody you trust, rest, cry, or ask for help, emotional processing changes hormones, inflammation, and even gene expression. And the fifth thing you can do is to spend time with one person who makes you feel safe and joyful. Connection strengthens immune function and reduces stress. These are powerful factors in healing. These stories are reminders that our body contains mysteries and capacities no prognosis can fully measure. Healing does not look the same for everyone, and recovery cannot be forced or predicted, but the possibility is real, and your story is still being written. When you fill your mind with examples of unexpected healing, you create space inside of yourself for hope, steadiness, and resilience. And sometimes that little bit of space is all the body needs to begin its next chapter. In our next episode, we'll discuss the moment everything shifted, turning points from real survivor stories. So stay tuned for that episode, and until then, go be renegades.